Okay, hi, can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Okay, it should be working now on my side. But let me know if there are any other issues. Okay. So as per usual, a disclaimer. This is marketing communication and does not contain and should not be construed as containing investment advice or an investment recommendation or an offer or solicitation for the transactions in financial instruments. And a risk warning: trading forex and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money that you can afford to lose. Okay, so our agenda for today will focus on FX majors, followed by commodities, crypto, and indices, and I'll be taking any requests throughout the webinar. Okay, I'm Melanie, and I'll be your speaker for today. I'm an investment analyst at Rocket, who are finalists for Best FX and Equity Research in the years 2019 to 2021, specializing in technical analysis with a focus on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, I'm gonna jump right into our charts so that we don't waste any more time. So if you guys have any requests, you can feel free to start popping them into the chat. So I'm gonna start with DXY while you guys let me know what other charts you guys want me to look at. Okay. Mm, okay. You should be able to see my charts now. Hmm. Okay. Should be fine now. Let me just adjust the screen. Okay. If there are any other issues, feel free to let me know in the chat as well. Yeah. So we're gonna start with DXY. So I'm not gonna go through the economic events for this week just to save some time, and go through more charts. But remember to take a look at what are the medium to high impact events for this week. Just those tend to have a bigger impact on our charts as well. Okay, so starting with our higher time frame so that we get an idea of the overall direction. On our weekly time frame, we have prices generally dropping. On our daily time frame, we see that downtrend as well here. Okay, let's look at 4-hour time frame. You can see there has been recently a small uptick in price. Okay, let's go ahead and analyze this on our daily time frame since this is kind of a weekly analysis. Okay, so for my first resistance, I'll place it right at this swing low here. Okay, and then a good habit is to try and pull it back as far as you can, just so you can see how significant your level is. And I've realized my camera has frozen, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, as long as you guys can hear me, yeah, just let me know if you can't see my charts or can't hear me. Okay. And then for my first support, I'm going to place it right here, so I can pull it back even further here. So you can see it's in line with a swing high here and a swing low here, and it's currently broken out of this resistance, this overlap resistance. Okay, so it's quite a significant level. So my first support will just be at this other overlap level along with this swing low and swing high here. And then my second resistance, I'll just place it over here. Okay, now going in with our retracement, I'm looking for that inverted Nike tick that we're always talking about here. Oops. Okay. And this is what we call a Fibonacci extension. Okay, and I'm gonna be keeping that 161 level because price has already broken out of the 127. You can see that here. Okay, so I might keep the 138 as well, actually. Okay, I might add an intermediate support level right about here. Okay, so I'll keep the 138 as well as the 161. So if you can't really see that inverted Nike tick, it's right about here. Okay, so an upright Nike tick will look like this. Since it's inverted, it'll just look like that. Okay, next I'm going in with our projection. So projection basically looks for this zigzag or lightning bolt kind of shape. Okay, and you can see, okay, none of the levels line up because price has already broken out of those levels. But this is the shape that I was looking at. Okay, it's like a lightning bolt shape. Okay, and then I will use just a regular retracement from this swing low to this swing high here. Okay, you can see my 78.6 lines up really nicely with my first support. Might do another projection over here. So you can see my 100% lines up with the first support as well. So over here at our first support, we have a pretty big confluence area here. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar, confluence area is just when two or more Fibonacci levels line up in that same area. Doesn't have to line up exactly with your support or resistance levels. As long as it's kind of near it, that's good enough. Okay, so persons tend to be attracted to these areas, so this lines up with our analysis that price is going to continue to drop towards our first support. I've just labeled this intermediate level just so that I have my eye out in this area. Since price has tested this level quite a number of times before, and it's also in line with our retracement, or rather our Fibonacci extension. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to go in with our indicators. So I like to use Ichimoku and MACD to start. Okay, so price is moving below the cloud, so it supports our bearish analysis. If you take a look at MACD, it's also giving us a bearish signal over here. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with Bollinger Bands, EMA, SMA, and RSI and stochastic. These are typically the indicators that I like to use. Of course, you can use any indicators that you're more comfortable with and that you know how it works. Okay, and if we look at Bollinger Bands, right, you can see price is kind of in a Bollinger squeeze right now, which is basically when prices, you can see the red line and the green line of that Bollinger Band is kind of squeezing together. And you can see price is breaking below that green line as well. So it's breaking below our Bollinger Band, also supporting our bearish analysis. Okay, if you look at RSI, okay, this isn't really a descending trend line. Okay, but you can definitely see prices are dropping here on our RSI. But if you look at stochastic, it looks like prices have broken below that oversold level. Okay, which is basically at this 20 mark. So basically what this means is that we might see a bit of a rebound in our price, which matches with what we saw on the 4-hour time frame as well, where we saw a slight uptick in price. That could be due to this as well. But I think price will overall continue to drop based on all of the indicators that we've seen, as well as this confluence area at our first support, as well as the overall trend being very bearish as well. So I think we might see a slight uptick that we're already seeing on our 4-hour time frame. So make sure that you leave enough space between your stop loss. Wherever you choose to place it, you can place it at the second resistance or your first resistance, but make sure that you leave enough space for that rebound to happen. Yeah, before going in for a sell. So you can place your take profit at this intermediate support. You can also place it at your first support in line with this confluence area. Or if you want, you can wait for price to break out of this before going in for a sell, another sell to your first support. Okay, or you can use a partial profit as well. Yeah, entirely up to you. Okay, and that's it for our DXY. Okay, let me just check if there are any questions. Okay, let me see. Yes, so that's exactly what I was saying earlier. I just saw your chat, but yes, you've basically got it. Yeah. Okay, yes, indicates that price will go down but likely to rebound. Yeah. Okay, let's continue with gold first. Okay, so same thing, I'm starting with our weekly time frame. You can see prices generally moving in an uptrend, but there's been a slight rebound over here. Okay, let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, and 4 hour time frame, you can see prices generally kind of moving sideways here. It's fluctuating at this Shanghai here. Okay, I'll analyze this on our daily time frame again. Okay, so I've identified our first resistance here. Next, I'm gonna go in with a second. Actually, no, I'll place my first resistance here and then my second resistance at the swing high. Okay, and then my first support, I'll place it at this overlap level. So it's in line with a swing high and a swing low here. Okay, quite simple setup here. Okay, and then I'm going in with our retracement to start. You can see my 23 and 38 line up exactly with the resistance and support. Okay, and then now I'm going in with our projection. Okay, my 78 lines up exactly, so I'm going to use that. And once again, let me just draw out the shape here. Okay, so it's a projection because we are projecting where prices might be headed to next. Okay, that might be all the levels we have. Let's see if we have a smaller retracement here. 61 and that 38 line up. Okay, wait, no, actually, I'll just keep the 61. Okay, reason being, our 38 has already been broken out of here. Okay, it already broke out. So I'm just gonna keep that 61 retracement. Okay. I think that's all the Fibonacci levels we have. Yeah, I think so. So I'm expecting prices to continue to drop here from our first resistance to our first support. Okay, I'm gonna go in with our indicators once again. Okay, so with MACD, let's start with MACD. You can see it's giving us a very clear bearish signal. But with Ichimoku, you can see it's kind of bouncing off that cloud here. So I'm not going to use it for now because when it's bouncing off the cloud like this, two things can happen. It will either move within the cloud, which will give us a transition, more of a transition signal, or it might continue to bounce off the cloud and move upwards. So if it's not giving us a very clear signal, I'm not going to use this. So let's look at Bollinger Bands. Okay, with Bollinger Bands, you can see prices breaking below the green line as well, that lower band. So that's also a bearish signal. EMA and SMA, you can see prices moving below the moving averages as well. So it's also a bearish signal. Let's look at RSI and stochastic. You see Okay, this is not a valid trend line here. But okay, on our stochastic, this is a trend line here. Okay, you can also see it dropping as well. Stochastic is not a trend line, but I've highlighted this drop because we have a a divergence here. Okay, so where I've highlighted the 2 points, okay, you can see price is in line with a resistance, whereas on the RSI, it's giving us this kind of bearish divergence here. Okay, where price is making a lower high. Okay, so this also supports our analysis here. Okay, overall, you can also just look at the RSI and stochastic and see that they're currently approaching the oversold regions on our stochastic, not so much for RSI. But it's not really at that area yet. Doesn't look like it's due for a rebound anytime soon. So we can expect prices to continue moving downwards. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, wait, we have a question. Um, yeah, so from our analysis, and keep in mind, we're just purely looking at technicals here. We're not taking into account any economic events currently happening. Just purely technical, it does look like both DXY and gold are bearish for this week. And yes, DXY and gold tend to move in opposite directions as well. That's correct as well. Um, but sometimes DXY and gold can both be bearish at the same time, especially during times of economic uncertainty, during geopolitical events. We can see this happening as well. Yeah, especially during like a global risk on sentiment. Yeah, because they may sell both safe haven assets. So gold and DXY, you would know, are both safe haven assets. So when investors are more optimistic about the global economy, they may sell both safe haven assets. Or the alternative can be true as well. Okay. Yeah, thanks for your question. Let's continue. I think we have another request for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and look at that. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, you can see prices kind of testing this resistance level here. Now looking at our daily time frame, I'm going to place our first resistance up here. Okay. So I'll place our, let's look at the 4-hour time frame first. Okay, pretty bullish. Recently over here, it kind of looks like prices are moving sideways between these two lines here. Okay. But anyway, let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, let me see if my camera is unfrozen. Okay, no. Okay, so my first resistance I'll place over here. So this is in line with where price is currently testing. Okay, and then my first support, I'll just place here. So this is in line with 3 swing lows. Okay, you see my 38.2. Okay, it's kind of lining up with that first support. Okay, wait. Okay, I think this 23.6 might be a better fit. Okay, now I'm going in again with our Nike tick here. Okay, no, none of the levels line up. Okay, my 61.8 lines up nicely. Mm, I think that's all the levels we have. Can you guys find any other levels? Okay, I think that's all the levels we have. So, let's go ahead and look at our indicators. Okay, so Ichimoku has praised recently bouncing off the cloud. Okay, so it's giving us a bullish signal. MACD you can see is giving us a slight bullish signal as well. EMA, SMA, you can see prices moving above that. But in Japan's, it isn't really telling us much, although it is moving above that middle blue line. So it does give us a bullish signal as well, but it's not a very strong signal in terms of showing us an upward trend. So I don't really want to use this for now. Okay, let's look at RSI and stochastic and see if they line up. So RSI and stochastic are both giving us pretty bullish signals as well, just looking at the lines. Yep, and they don't appear to be kind of approaching any oversold or overbought levels. So it's also giving us bullish signals here. Okay. Okay, so I'm expecting prices to continue pushing upwards towards our second resistance. Okay, just be aware of this first resistance level that I've highlighted because it's quite a significant level. It has two swing highs. Two swing highs that line up with it. And price tried to test this level before but failed. So we might see that happening again here. Okay, but from the looks of it, seems like um prices will be able to, there's enough bullish momentum for prices to push above this first resistance. Okay, I just want to see if we have another projection level here. Okay, I might keep that 100% projection in line with our first resistance. Other than that, I don't really see any other Fibonacci levels. So, okay, any questions on this? Okay, we still have some time left, so I'm gonna maybe look at some majors. We can go ahead and look at euro dollar maybe. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, we have prices generally moving in an uptrend. Daily time frame, we see that similar trend. Now on our 4-hour time frame, overall still pretty bullish. Recent rebound over here, but overall still pretty bullish. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at our daily time frame. Okay, this would be my first support. So this is purely graphical based on the previous swing lows and swing highs. Of course, we might go in and adjust these levels after going in with our Fibonacci levels. Okay, but this is quite an important first step so that it helps us to identify the key levels um, quickly. Okay. Okay, you don't really need this second resistance, so I'm gonna move that. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a retracement. Okay, my 88 and that 78 line up nicely. Okay, I'm just gonna keep the 78 then. Okay, looking at our projections again. 100% lines up nicely with our first resistance. Okay, I'll just keep the 100%. And if you can't see the shape that we're looking at here, it's just this kind of a zigzag shape. Okay, and then I'm going in with our Nike tick again. You can see a really nice Nike tick shape here. So you can see price has recently broken out of the 127 and 138. So I'm going to stick to our 161. Okay, the Nike tick is here. Okay, so already at our first resistance, you can see a confluence area here. Okay, and I'm expecting prices to continue in this uptrend towards our first resistance. Okay, going in with another retracement here. 23.6 lines up nicely. Okay, now let's pull out some indicators. Okay, price is moving above the cloud, so it's giving us a bullish signal. MACD, you can see, is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, and you can see Bollinger Bands. Price is pushing above the upper band as well, so that's also giving us a bullish signal. And it's also moving above our moving averages. I'm using both EMA and SMA, and you can see price crossing over them. Okay, and then with our stochastic and RSI, you can see they are moving upwards, but they are both giving us kind of an overbought signal because it's moving over the 70 and 80 levels. So just be careful at this first support level here. You might see a little bit of a rebound. So you want to make sure that when you place your stop loss, similar to the first chart that we looked at earlier on our DXY, you want to make sure that there is enough room between that second support if you choose to place your stop loss here, okay? That there's enough room here for price to maybe rebound before it continues pushing upwards. Okay. Okay, any other requests or any questions on this? Okay, great. If there are no questions, let me see if we have any other requests. We still have some time, so we can maybe look at another major pair. Okay, yeah, let's look at dollar yen. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, overall pretty bearish despite this recent rebound here. Okay, but okay, let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, still kind of bearish. You can see prices dropping here. Okay, and now on our 4-hour time frame, we have prices moving in this ascending trend line. Okay, so this is why we look at multiple time frames, because in each time frame they might tell us a different different trend. So in our weekly time frame, we see prices moving upwards. Daily time frame, we kind of see it moving downwards a bit. And now 4 hours, we see it moving upwards again. Okay, let's analyze this on our daily time frame. Okay, I'm starting with a first support. First resistance up here. Okay, my 38 lines up nicely. Let's look at a projection level here. Okay, my 61.8 lines up with the first resistance. Okay, might have another Nike tick here. Okay, my 161 lines up nicely. So what we have here is an inverted Nike tick shape. Okay, I think that's all the levels we have. Yeah, I think that's it. Can you guys spot any other Fibonacci levels? I think that's about it. So our first resistance will be here. Um, and then we have a bit of a confluence area here. Okay, let's look at our indicators. Okay, okay, just one look at all of our indicators, and they're all giving us kind of different signals. So you can see Ichimoku, price is moving below the cloud, so it's giving us a bearish signal. If we zoom in, you can see MACD is giving us a bullish signal. Bollinger Bands, it's not really telling us much. Okay, it's kind of moving in the middle, so it doesn't really tell us anything. EME and SMA prices recently crossed below. So that is giving us a bearish signal. If you look at our RSI, it looks like price recently is moving upwards. Okay, you see, let me just highlight. trend line. Okay. But if you look at stochastic, it looks like prices are moving downwards. Okay, so this can mean that prices are kind of fluctuating. There isn't really a clear trend. Um, I think that prices are going to continue moving upwards, like what we saw on the 4-hour time frame here. Okay, so it can be helpful to, kind of look at other time frames as well. But yeah, I think it's gonna continue moving upwards. So especially since we have this confluence area here, which tends to track the price. So we might see it continue moving towards that first resistance. We also have this ascending trend line here, which also, tells us a bullish signal. Okay, but you can KIV this as well. You can wait for prices to kind of give you a more certain trend before going in for before you make any moves. I think that's what I would do right now. Okay, but otherwise, if you want to, you can go in for a buy here. Okay. Okay, since we started late, I'm gonna do one more chart. I think it was dollar cat. Okay, and we'll end off with this chart here. Okay, so on a weekly time frame, we have prices generally moving downwards, recently showing a slight uptick here. So if we look at our daily time frame, prices also generally falling. Okay, we have prices moving in this descending trend line. Now on our day 4-hour time frame, we can see there was a recent jump on Friday. But overall trend still pretty bearish, you can see. Okay, let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, my first resistance would be up here. Okay, first support. And then I'll place a second resistance, kind of about here. So it's in line with swing highs, swing lows, some pullback levels here. Okay, going in with our Fibonacci levels now. So I'll start with a retracement. Okay, my 38. I might move this to the 38 instead because it's a lot cleaner. Okay, it doesn't cut too many candlesticks. So it's in line with first resist. Okay, I might move the first resistance here as well. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this 23 and 38. Um, hmm. Okay, I don't really see any other levels. Okay, we might have an inverted Nike tick here. Yep, R161 lines up with that first support. Okay, I'll take a shorter retracement here, looking for a line or a level in line with that first resistance. So here our 61.8 lines up nicely. Yeah, I think that's about it. Okay, I'll add a second support since price is quite close to this first support right now. And I'll just place it below right about here. So it's right at this swing lows. And you can see price has tested this level quite a number of times before. Okay, now going in with our indicators again, very quickly. EMA, SMA, RSI, and stochastic. Okay, you can see price moving below the cloud, so it supports our analysis. MACD is giving us a bullish signal. Bollinger Bands aren't really telling us much, so I'll remove that. But with the moving averages, EMA and SMA, price recently crossed below both of the indicators, as you can see here. So that's supporting our analysis. Stochastic and stochastic is giving us a bearish signal. It's moving downwards. RSI, however, you can see a slight uptick here. So I'm gonna KIV for RSI. Okay, so I'm expecting prices to continue push downwards. Just be careful of that first support level there. Yeah, where we might see a little bit of a rebound there or bounce off of this level. Okay. Are there any other last minute questions? Yep, 100% agree about the price spike recently. Okay, if there are no other questions, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys found the session helpful. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.